Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan. Now, this is supposed to be part two of kind of a two-part pod as we go through the Eagles depth chart. We did offense in our Monday morning one. Now we're about to do defense, but it turns out we've got some carryover. We have some more things related to the offense we're going to discuss, and we will get into the defensive depth chart. I was having a quick peek at it, a quick peek at it myself, Adam, and I thought, they've made a lot of changes, but when you get down to it, this defense really is going to have to kind of overplay its name value because right now it's not looking so good.
Yeah,
so we'll get into that, and then at the end, there might be some front office maneuverings that we'll get into as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just wanted to add that, and this includes offense. This is the first time in several years there's so much opportunity for somebody like a Corey Clement type of situation.
Right.
There are key backup roles at so many positions. It's like if you're a late round pick or an undrafted free agent, or even a carryover like Raekwon Williams, there's a wonderful opportunity here for you to get not only make the team, but to dress and actually get on the field every week. So sometimes that's not a good thing when you're playing guys who aren't very good.
Right.
Sometimes there are guys who just were buried on the depth chart and didn't get an opportunity. So this year, they're going to get an opportunity.
They are going to get an opportunity. And I'm looking forward to training camp. We always do, but I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of jockeying going on, and it's just going to be fun. It's a new era, new coaching staff, so there's so much to learn about all these guys. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about as the spring becomes the summer. So let me start by reminding everybody, we've done the 6 installments of Inside the Draft with Greg Cosell. The final one where he recapped the draft is up on our YouTube and podcast platforms. Highly recommend that you take a listen to it because, even though some of the guys, Adam, that he recapped for us, he had already talked about in prior shows, he was able to better explain how they'll fit in the Eagles offense. We did talk about some guys the Eagles didn't get, and then the other teams in the NFC East as well, and how they did. So really, we all thanks goes to Greg. He did a great job for the 6 weeks, and I'm sure somewhere down the line we'll be bringing Greg back again for more evaluation.
Yeah, and fans are they love Greg. It's he'll be with us, folks. You don't have to worry about that. We saw some of the comments, and we appreciate them. He definitely will be, and he loves you guys. He's Greg likes to feel wanted, so he likes. I'm kidding.
I can't blame him.
Greg, I've known Greg through Ron Jaworski since 2002, and one of these days we'll have a little bit of a fun session with Greg where we'll shoot the breeze in one of our shows with him and talk about some of our tape viewings with some of the people that we were able to watch tape with right. Greg and Jaws, and some of the people that would come in, and some of the funny stories, some of the stuff he would allow us to talk about. It's really just amazing. Just one thing I'll tell you about watching tape with them. I've mentioned maybe one other time, and you know what? Maybe you and I will go down if we can, of course, because of the COVID issue. I don't know if we'll be allowed to, but if we get clearance someday, I'd love you to watch tape with us or with Greg. Really, it's really Greg's deal. When the minutia of one single play, he might see 30 times. And you scratch your head like, do you have to keep doing this? Why do you keep watching the same play over and over? And it just, with Jaws is even worse with that, because I get it. Because you want to know what was the quarterback thinking.
Right.
What did he see? And that kind of thing. So it's really cool, though, to watch tape with those guys.
Yeah, I got a pretty good taste of that when I did the Scouting Academy, Dan Hatman's Scouting Academy, and had to watch tape of 5 players from each position. And you do – yeah, five games of 5 players at each position. And when you're a newbie like myself, who has watched tape with, I've watched tape with Quentin Michael before. I've watched tape with Jamal Jackson. I've watched tape with some coaches. But then when you're a newbie and you're on your own, I can totally see with Greg, like, because I remember you're just studying one player. You don't even know what's going on around you. You might be looking at a wide receiver who doesn't even catch the ball, right? Or is not even involved in the or blocking. And you're just going through it 100 times, trying to look for because there's so many different traits. All right. Did his release, was it good? What about his hand usage? You may have noticed his hand usage and you were making a note of it, but didn't get to see how his double move was on his release on the move. So it's a very monotonous thing, but for guys like Greg who
Exactly.
have the ability and the
Yeah.
patience to just digest it hour upon hour, God bless them, because it really is it can be a monotonous thing.
Right. And what Greg will do, I remember, this is crazy. This is going back in 02 or 03. They called then University of California head coach Jeff Tedford.
Mm-hmm.
Tedford was bounced around a lot in the NFL and college football. He was Kyle Bowler's, I believe, his head coach, or was either OC or head coach at Cal then. Anyway, he also coached Aaron Rodgers. So they called him because they want to get clarification on some of the things that they saw. And one of the things I really respect about Greg is that he will call coaches, hey, Greg didn't play, so he wants to pick their brain. Hey, am I saying this right? Is this, because this is the way I see it. And he runs it by them and they'll tell him if they disagree. It's pretty interesting.
That's a great point. One of the things I learned in the scouting academy and from guys who have been doing it for a long time is that when you're watching tape and you notice a player at a certain position who does something very unconventional for the position that might not be even something you would consider a positive trait, you don't just write it down as, well, he doesn't do this well, because if it's unconventional and he does other things well, what you have to do is find out, was he coached to do that? Was he asked in a specific scheme or by a strange coach? Howard Mudd had some unconventional offensive line coaching.
Yeah,
Tedford too, like you're saying. Yeah.
The carriage point was up here.
Right.
For Aaron Rodgers, and that got changed when Mike McCarthy told me when he got him. Right. That was the first thing that he did. You're right. Yeah. And that's the thing Cosell talks about, is that sometimes he doesn't know how they're coached, because college football, man, the Jaws has said it, the worst coach position in college football is quarterback. And these guys come in wild mechanics, run one read, and the coaches at the next level have so much work to do.
Right.
That's why you don't want to rush a quarterback until you think he's ready. Now, sometimes it's just like with Carson Wentz, right? Though he played in a pro system at North Dakota State and Trey Lance did, they knew that A-level competition, which is a minor point, but certainly part of it. They saw things that needed to be corrected. You just didn't know when he'd be ready. And that's why Peterson, when he was asked in 2016 whether Wentz could be the third string quarterback, he said it's possible. Right. He just didn't know when he could possibly be ready. And as they say, you never know until you get your hands on them and coach them.
Good segue to our next topic, with Carson Wentz now being a Colt. I want to segue to something that I heard from Q&A. Quentin Michael, Jason Avant came back. Their show dropped Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. It was fantastic. They did a great, not only, I asked them to do this. I said, look, you guys can have opinions on the draft. Of course, I want you to hear it, but everybody's got opinions. And, Landon Dickerson's health, everybody knows it's a question mark. Devontae Smith's size, everybody knows it's a question mark. I asked them to really get into the meat and potatoes of how they fit certain schemes and what you can do with these players. And one thing Jason did in this show, that these guys tend to subtly do it. They'll drop some insider nuggets like we do, right? And they'll channel their inside, inside the birds.
Wait to hear this one.
Yeah. And what Jason said was he played, he still got connections there. He put in a call in, and he said one thing that's going to be different about the Eagles offense this year, and maybe hasn't been like this even when Andy Reid was the coach, was that his understanding is Nick Sirianni is going to allow his wide receivers to have in-route adjustments on their own. And it's up to the quarterback to be accountable for the receiver's adjustments and to be on time and accurate, right? It's not the quarterback who's calling the adjustments out. It's the receiver running a route, noticing a certain leverage, breaking a certain way that might be different from the original play call, getting open the way the receiver knows how to get open, right? And this is something that Jason said that was very comparable to what Nick Sirianni did with T.Y. Hilton in Indianapolis. There was the segue. So pretty interesting now. I mean, with Devontae Smith here, with Jalen Reagor, right, with Travis Fulgham, the other young guys, is that Jalen's really Hurts will have to get on the same page with them very quickly, Adam. And also he'll have to be a very sharp, precise, in-time type of quarterback with these receivers.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. We were hearing through our sourcing that I think we put the first show we ever talked about Sirianni's offense back in whenever that was, January or February. We said that we're hearing this is going to be more of a West Coast timing-based offense with accuracy super important. Not that it isn't important, of course it is. But in this offense, because it's a timing-based offense. Now, based on what Jason put out there, that takes our information a step further. It's not just from a mechanical standpoint, the quarterback's got to be on balance. Footwork has got to be good. You got to throw with proper mechanics, and the quarterback's got to be accurate. With these option routes, you have to read by coverage where that ball's supposed to be. That's a timing and more of anticipation, which is super important. Greg, I learned that from Greg and Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Manning and Tom Brady are the two biggest timing anticipation quarterbacks I've ever seen. It's go get it, Geoff. I'm throwing it out to you. Go get it. I know where this ball. I know what that coverage is.
Right.
I know exactly where you need to be. You need to be not 5 yards, 7 yards. I'm throwing it to 7 yards. Go get it.
Right.
That's anticipation, and that sounds like that's going to be part of it. And Ty, who's all over the field, they never line him up. He's never a true X. He's moving. He's playing Y. He's playing Z. He's playing X.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated to see this offense. I'm very optimistic. I know this guy's never called a play, and this guy's got to prove himself. Sirianni's a play caller.
Yeah.
But based on what I'd heard, I can add a little bit to this. He's going to get to know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and they're going to be coached. Like player development here, I've mentioned this before, but not to this degree. Player development of like the attributes that this guy brings together are super important to him. So one of the coaches who work with him told me. And I'm expecting players to be developed here. If they're not good enough, then they'll wind up being cut. But if there's something to get out of these guys, instead of them being buried on the depth chart and the coaches don't want to coach them, like this is what happened to the other staff, certain coaches just wouldn't coach them, where they just wouldn't be on the field. They just would bury them. I don't see that happening here. Or they're at least going to know, through training camp, they're going to start getting an idea. But I'm telling you, these guys are going to be developed here. If they have something to offer, they're going to get it out of them.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating, especially being used in a way like T.Y. Hilton, who you might see him on, the highlights beating people over the top. But in that offense, he was also an underneath guy. You would run a lot of deep routes and he would come across the middle, catch the ball underneath the middle, and then kind of turn the jets on. And Quentin Michael took what Jason Avant said and said, I think that's great for the skill set that Devontae Smith has. The concern, though, is when you catch those over the middle, is that you better be able to get out of there before you get hit. And obviously the size becomes an issue.
Exactly. I know. And that's going to be a concern for him because his weight will fluctuate between 166 and 170. His first weigh-in was 170. His second one was 160. His most recent one was 166. So,
right.
You hope over a series of 9 to 12 months, he builds his body up maybe to 180. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep an eye on that for you because training camp weights drop because all the fluids that they lose. Derek Barnett, we were told last summer, Geoff, was somewhere around 240 at one point. He put the weight back on.
Right.
Actually, it's between 235 and 240 during training camp. They put the weight back on. It was somewhere in the 250s, but this is what happens in training camp. You got to keep your weight up. So they've got a challenge on their hands with him.
No doubt about it. Big challenge for the medical staff this year, not only with, weight, the weight training staff there, and obviously the medical staff with Landon Dickerson, Brandon Brooks coming back, Lane Johnson coming back. So this is a newer medical staff. So as we've said, you got to give them a little bit of time to see how they do their work. You can't just judge everything off last year. So again, just another interesting thing to keep our eye on as we get deeper into the offseason, and then the season will be upon us before we even know it. I hate to say that because I'm not trying to fast forward the spring and summer, but that's basically how it goes.
4 months. I mean, that's nothing, man.
It's really nothing, man.
Training camps,
time flies.
Yeah, time does fly. And look, we're very hopeful we're going to have something other than the mandatory OTA. I'm hoping that the players could get on the field. I know that now, with the NFLPA getting involved, but that may not happen. But training camps, let's hope we have longer training camps, that they're back to somewhat normalcy. Because man, the young players need a development. They need to get on the field, and whenever you have new coaches, they need to get to know the players. The sooner they get to know what they're able to do. So it's like you can look at tape from last year, right? That was with another staff.
Yep.
And then they had their own ideas from maybe college tape. Okay, I like this player. He was not doing that last year, but I think he could do this. So the sooner they get with these guys, the better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Real quick, because you mentioned the NFLPA, do you think that the injury that Jawan James, the Broncos tackle, suffered will have players rethinking the idea of working out away from team facilities?
Yeah, because in that one, they could go after his money when it's a non-football injury. What that means is when you're away from the field, right? When you're away from the complex. This has happened with the Eagles over the years. If a guy gets hurt, like Timmy Jernigan suffered an injury away from the club, they could say, okay, we want to bring you back, but we're not going to pay you what your salary is because you got hurt away from our facility. You were not training here. So that's all within the rights to go after his money. So, Juwan James is the right tackle. He opted out last year, and they were looking forward to have him come back in. It's interesting. They looked into, before this injury, before they even knew it, they were looking into Alejandro Villanueva, I'm told, who now is going to play right tackle for Baltimore. But they were expecting to get Juwan James back as the right tackle, and yeah, the Broncos. And now you look at it, any player now, if you get hurt on your own, it's a problem because there's no. This is different from last year where the players were not allowed here. They're allowed to come in, but players are opting not to.
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely be interesting to see if there's a change now in mentality and philosophy because of the financial ramifications that will happen for the players if they do get hurt away from the facility. I mean, it's easy to say we're not coming, it's voluntary, and that's great. Yeah. We supported that. But then when you're working out and you get hurt and you lose your money, pretty easy to rethink that strategy. All right, let's get into the Eagles' defensive depth chart. Before we do that, Adam, I got to thank our friends at Deal Dash. They've been excellent sponsors. We keep telling people to make sure you're downloading their app if you can, or going to dealdash.com. It's all about winning. I mean, people remember the story I told about helping my high school basketball team win an intramural championship, hitting those 2 free throws with 1 second left on the clock. I was money that day. I had ice water in my veins. It's been a feeling that I've carried with me ever since.
Apparently.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you're going to hear me talk about that all. That's like my crowning achievement. So I got to, bring it up as much as I possibly can. But although I've retired a long, long time ago from that kind of competitive leagues, and you yourself, I know you still play some competitive tennis. I don't know if any trophies are involved, but
I'm about a year and a half away probably from that.
All right. But we're still winning. Because we use Deal Dash, the online shopping platform that's actually fun. Folks, it's true. It's fun. It's fun to bid on really expensive items, win that bid, and get it for maybe a third of the price. And the Deal Dash is the longest running petty auction website and app around. It's almost too good to be true. I mean, you can get some really electronics, stuff for the house.
It really happens.
Cars, right? I saw a car. A car went for $900. All right, a brand new TV, less than $2. Adam, what did you get? You got something, right? Or you tried to get something?
I was in on 2 bids initially, on the app, and then my wife and I are trying to figure out what we need for the summer. So we'll be on there. And the thing is, it's like you have high-end items and they have low-end items. It just depends on what you're looking for.
Right.
And it's really cool. The system that they use is really cool. It's so much better than eBay. No offense to eBay, but it's totally different.
Yeah, very user-friendly.
Right. I'm just going to say it's user-friendly, and they're not taking 87 different fees out.
No, it's almost, to me, it's like a game. It's like a game that you have on your app. You're just sitting there playing, but you can actually win something that's worth has good financial value. Right, right. So don't be a loser. Stop paying full retail price for the things you want. Get on Deal Dash. You go to dealdash.com or download their app. And when you register, you enter the promo code ITB for a special offer for some bonus free bids. That's ITB for a special offer on bonus free bids with Deal Dash. All right, Adam, let's get into the depth chart here. Let's start as the Eagles like to do up front. Defensive tackle, defensive end, the whole defensive line. D tackle still strong, right? I mean, you've got Fletcher Cox, you've got Javon Hargrave. Now, Hargrave is a guy that I have forgotten to kind of bring up because we've talked for a while when I reported a while back that the defensive coordinator, John Gannon, is looking for somebody who can be a nose. Now, Hargrave, when he was in Pittsburgh, wasn't a pure nose. He actually was a one gapper in their nickel, but when they had some injuries, he had to go in there and play more of a nose run stopping role. So he can do that too. I don't know if they have that in mind for him because they like his upfield burst. Certainly on some of the guys they drafted, at least one of them we can talk about. But when you just talk about those starting two, Hargrave and Cox, I mean, the big concern is can they figure out a way to get Fletcher not double teamed as much as he's been for the last 2 years? And you'd have to think that Hargrave's a big answer to that, and he has to stay healthy.
Right now, Hargrave has to learn there's no defense he's got to learn. He had the Pittsburgh and the Eagles for one, and now the Eagles' second defense that he's going to have to learn. So, all nose techniques are different. How they're shaded, where you're lining over. Not every nose tackle is the same. It's not only that, as I learned very many years ago. I remember sitting in watching tape with a coach that is no longer in the NFL, but he was explaining to me depending on what kind of nose you want, it depends on how much weight you want that guy to have.
Right.
And it's very important hand usage. And remember, Tracy Rocker's the new D-line coach. So the techniques are going to be different. And the scheme, the front is going to be different. The wide nine's gone. Though it's funny, the Vikings coach told me that they have over the years, not a lot. I mean, if very small percentage of a nine technique, like the ends will be out, on a nickel. They've done it before, but very few snaps.
Right.
But I'm not expecting it to be here at all, unless it's, again, very few snaps. It's basically junked.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything we had heard is pretty much correct. We had said two things. The offense is going to be more West Coast based and the defense is going to be Vikings. I believe that's still going to be the case now.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, what does Gannett, every coordinator, play caller brings their version of that offense or defense in. Whoever you work for in your career. Also, Gannett worked for the Colts, so he may have some ideas from Matt Eberflus's cover two. He may have his own idea of how that should look like. So not every defense is exactly the same. They all have their nuances, and then he'll bring that in. And now here's the thing, moving this along. You mentioned the 2D tackles. That's great. Hargrave and Cox are the starters. The third tackle job, the fourth tackle job, and the fifth tackle job are open. They're wide open. Ridgeway, Raekwon Williams, Milton Williams is a third rounder. Tuli Pelotu is there as a sixth rounder who's an intriguing guy. We'll get to him. And T.Y. McGill's back again. He's under contract. So
T.Y. McGill has become the Julian Vandervelde of the Eagles defensive line.
Yeah, Julian Vandervelde. Yeah.
Back.
So again, this is what I said at the top of the show. There are roles open. Ridgeway to me is more of a fourth than a third tackle, but you know what? The opportunity's here. And these guys are going to have an opportunity. I mean, I'm sure it's possible by training camp that the Eagles sign a veteran defensive tackle if needed. But I think to me, corner is way more important now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the way I see it. And this Milton Williams is intriguing, man. I've since last Sunday show, since last Monday morning show, I've got a lot of opinions on him. They're mostly positive. It's just you kind of have to understand what he is and what he's not.
Right.
And how he was coached. You talked earlier about how guys are coached. He has development to make. He's not a finished product, and how he was taught at Louisiana Tech is going to be different than he's going to be taught here.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and it'll be interesting when it comes down to the 53-man projection time. Well, not for us, maybe for them, the cut down time.
Yeah.
When they start to go through positions and numbers, if they feel that they go like one lighter at D-line and kind of consider Milton a end tackle hybrid, because I was told that they were going to play him at end and play him at tackle. And
they do.
So just like they did a couple of years ago with corner and safety, I forget which guy they had. Maybe it was Jalen Mills who could play corner and safety. So they were able to kind of fudge the numbers there a little bit, saying we can go a little lighter on corner because we can move Jalen over to, if we need to, they may be able to do that as well. They just pick the best linemen. And if they feel like they're good there because they got a guy who can play two spots, then that's good. So Marlon Tuipulotu, you said you had some interesting things on him. So do I. So I'll let you go.
Yeah. Milton Williams, you just talked about briefly. He's just got, further development. He's obviously super explosive, but that was college football at a lower level. This is a big step up for him, but he's super intriguing. He'll play tackle and end. He'll slide in if he's dressing. We don't, right now, we don't know. We're so far away from training camp. We don't know if he'll dress every game, but if he's ready and shows it, as you said, he could help them with overall numbers because he'll play two positions, and he would be a nickel pass rusher inside.
Do you have any, before we get on, do you have any concerns, or did it come into your head a little bit like a Brian Thomas third rounder from McNeese State, undersized pass rusher, edge rusher, who just never could match the level of competition when he came into the NFL with the Eagles as a third round pick? He just wasn't built for it, and he was out of the league very quickly.
Well, this kid is way more gifted, Milton Williams. I know Smith was like what Jim Johnson wanted in terms of size, athleticism. He wanted explosion.
Yeah.
But this kid has got get off, and he's strong. He just needs work and technique, and it's just different up here. It's just when you dominate at a lower level of football, there's a big step up. This is what it was explained to me by someone in scouting, and you just have to be careful of expectations because, again, he wasn't a first-round pick. He was a third-round pick.
Right.
Despite some amazing numbers, his workout numbers are – see, he meets the analytic quotient for numbers. His workout numbers are just absurd. They're great. And he's got positional versatility. So it's an intriguing pick.
Right.
Pelotu, He had, I know from the Eagles and other teams, he certainly should not have dropped the 6th round. I don't quite understand this one.
Right.
Why he dropped so far. He's got positional versatility. He could play the 3. He could play off. He could play off nose. Just depends on how you want to use him.
Mm-hmm.
You heard Greg Cosell talk about on our show that he has some pass rush in him, which is good. And he Howie Roseman said, I believe, on WP, and I'll explain what this means because we've talked about this before. I failed to explain it properly. So he said they had higher grades on him. What that means is, this part I've explained before with other players. Every single player gets a minimum of three looks for every draft. Some get as many as 8 to 10. If he's a first-round pick, he's going to get 6 to 8 of them from the general manager, the personnel director, the area scout, assistant scouting director,
the owner.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't think on tape. But over the top scout, national scout, whoever.
Right.
So what happened was with Tuipulotu, they had some 3rd-round grades on him. A couple of the guys turned in grades that were fairly high. So that's good. Whatever they saw on tape, I don't know who these guys were, but whoever turned their grades in saw him better than he went. And that's a good thing. You like James Robinson for the Jaguars last year. Jaguars told me that they had 3rd and 4th round grades on him that were turned in, and he was an undrafted free agent. And boy, did they nail that one!
Oh my God, did they hit that one?
Yeah.
They hit a home run out of the park.
Exactly. That's boy, was he great in fantasy? Oh,
right.
Tuipulotu, this is a guy that they're probably going to, at least their tape study said this is a tremendous value here. Now, this is the NFL now. He's got to transfer from being with USC, right?
Yep.
Pac-12 to the NFL level. And this Tracy Rocker, man, Tracy Rocker's got a big job on his hands here. So does Gannon, because right now you've got 2 starters who played a lot of snaps. The rest of them played next to nothing. You got 2 rookies, of course. And then Raekwon Williams really hasn't played. Ridgway's played sparingly. And McGill's played sparingly. So unless they bring in 2 veterans, these young kids are going to play. And that's a lot of responsibility here. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
On Tuipulotu, I'll add that when I asked around, asking about the Eagles draft and talking to other teams, I said, was there a name that jumps out at you that was a good value pick? And that was the one. They would. So other teams must have had higher grades on him.
Get it.
Well, there is a back. Apparently, he may have there are some questions about his back. I don't know if he had a back injury, but that's what the feedback I got on it was.
Is this the guy who wouldn't talk about his back injury or like his injury or something?
He was asked about an injury, and he said, "I prefer to keep that to myself." And a back injury isn't normally something a player doesn't want to talk about. So I wonder if there's something else involved.
Unless there was surgery, I don't know.
Yeah, unless there was. That's a good point.
We'll look into it.
But either way, the what I got back from him, very strong hands, powerful kind of guy. And a couple, one person said to me, he's not as bad of a pass rusher as maybe the stats would suggest. It's certainly not his strength, but he's not a guy you just discard as he can't rush the passer. So I mean, it's good value in the 6th round. Absolutely.
And you know what it is, and again, we'll see if they bring some veterans in, but it would be nice to see some draft picks. Or even Ridgway, who was traded for from the Colts, just to contribute this season. This Eagles team has had such a lack of development, other than Josh Sweat. We could go through both sides of the ball on another show.
Yeah.
But the lack of player development for the young players it's been disappointing. And I know the front office was not happy with that, but you can't tell people what to do. You can suggest it. Hey, why is this guy playing? The coaches sometimes are just, we're not doing that. We're playing because you know why? Coaches are trying to keep their jobs. This happens in every NFL building. And with better communication with coaches, if you're regularly meeting with your coaches, it should never come down to a meeting. Hey, why aren't we playing this guy? You should know already.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's move to the end.
Yep.
No surprises here. Obviously Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett. We have Josh Sweat. We just mentioned him. Joe Osman will come back to compete. Teron Johnson is one of the 3 6-rounders that they drafted. He's from Coastal Carolina. He's got some work to put in though. So I believe he's only 6'2". Is that
yes, even. And Matt Leo has his roster exemption. So again, this is yet another position. The 4th, and if they keep a 5th DN jobs. Now, obviously, Milton Williams helps you not have to carry 5. That to me would be just a guess right now in May that they won't.
Right.
Joe Osman right now, as a legit shot. Now, this is 2 years removed from the ACL reconstruction. And you know how the former coaching staff had a love affair with this guy. Quite frankly, so did the front office. This guy was like, this guy was, everybody loved him. What a
He was
great story.
Rudy.
What's that?
He's Rudy.
Oh yeah, I mean he's absolutely Rudy Joe Osman. He is. And look again, the story of the last two shows in terms of personnel for the Eagles. It's about opportunity. The Eagles don't know who their fourth or fifth receivers are. They have some players on the roster that will compete for it. Well, they have opportunities at DN and D tackle. So that's kind of where that's the state of the defensive line opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of defensive line than we've seen in the past. So we'll see. Let's move on to linebacker. A lot of names here, Adam. I mean, they certainly have done a lot to fortify the group. It's just that nobody jumps out at you as just a playmaking linebacker. They're either the Alex Singleton types who really kind of broke out a little bit last year, but probably may not start for a lot of other teams in the NFL. Eric Wilson, the guy they traded from the Vikings. TJ Edwards. I'm sorry. Wait, what's that?
Signed. You didn't trade for
him. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. They signed him. He was a former Viking.
1 year deal.
1 year deal. TJ Edwards, second-year player out of Wisconsin. Well, third year now out of Wisconsin, the undrafted free agent. Davion Taylor, the third-round project from Colorado last year. Jannard Avery, the guy they moved over from defensive end. Sean Bradley, the rookie. Jacoby Stevens from the 7th round. Patrick Johnson from the 7th round. I forgot about Rashad Smith. Yes, Rashad Smith and Joe Bocci. So, you got them all in there, and eventually you're going to have to pick 4 or 5 out of that group.
Yeah. Look, we'll get to. I know people want to know about the UDFAs for the Eagles class. Once we have reports on every single player, because I don't want to blow something off. So instead of integrating them by position, what we're going to do is we're going to do on our next show on Monday. We're going to have actually a healthy segment. You're going to have information where you're not getting anywhere else on these guys. This is what we do. And there are a couple that I was not aware of. Quite frankly, never heard of some of these guys. But the funny thing was a cornerback, I believe I was told that they didn't sign one because the list was so bad out there.
Yeah.
At corner. You can't just sign guys because they've made an analytic quotient. The guy's got to be able to play football at this level. Potentially.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll get to corner in a minute, but once you start looking at some of the last 2 or 3 corners on the Eagles roster, you say, well, those guys are basically like UDFA type of players anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, so what's the point of just adding? Yeah, you already got enough. I mean, yeah. So look, Singleton and Wilson, to me, I mean, they stand out as the guys who are, barring any kind of strange changes or developments, are probably going to be your 2 most used linebackers. The question is just is how well does Singleton adapt to his spot? He's probably going to play outside with Eric Wilson playing the middle, or the Sam and one playing the Mike, even nickel. And the question is, does TJ Edwards still have a role? Can Davion Taylor, bridge any of the gap from last year with another new defense that he'll have to learn?
Yeah, and look, the front. It just depends on what down and distance it is. Edwards is only a base player. We know that. The Eagles are generally going to be a 4-2-5 team. If they go with a bare front, which is 5 linemen, they could go 5-2-4. Just you have that option depending on who you're playing. They're going to do things that Schwartz was not going to do. That's just Schwartz runs a specific scheme. He's been successful with it, no matter what people say about him and criticize around the league. This is what he does. This guy is a first-time coordinator in Gannon, and he'll have his version again of the Zimmer defense, and we'll see what that winds up looking like. The question is how much of the sameness is it going to have? Eric Wilson's here because of it. The linebackers coach Wallace is here because of it, and we'll see. It would be nice if behind Singleton and Wilson, we know that they're top 2 linebackers, right? It would be nice when we don't know about Davion Taylor and what they feel about him, but it'd be nice if one of these guys, kind of like how Singleton, it took him a while, but he finally became a contributor. It'd be nice if Bocci or Rashad Smith or Jacoby Stevens is a hybrid player. Sean Bradley won't. It's highly unlikely. He's really a special teams player. He could be over time, he's going to be one of their best special teams players. I don't see Jannard Avery doing as a strong side linebacker. To me, he's a 34 outside linebacker. I still, for the life of me, I just, other than that one monster game, he was phenomenal against the Niners, right?
Right.
Last year, it has not worked at all. And I know they couldn't get they really, when he was available during the trade deadline, they just couldn't get anything for him.
Right.
But eventually, if he makes it in his career, he's going to be a 34 outside linebacker. That's just the perfect scheme for him. So
I wonder if he'll be a trade candidate. I wonder if he'll have any value at the end of camp for a 3-4 team. I don't know. I don't know.
It's unfortunate. He's very gifted. He's explosive, but he's shorter.
Right.
He's got to be, though he's got long arms for a guy as short as he is. He's got versatility. I mean, he's got better positional fit for a 34. But anyway, for this team, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much what we thought coming in. It's just that could Stevens make the conversion to when I say full-time linebacker, he may be a hybrid guy. You don't know. There's a saying in coaching, you don't know till you get there. You have an idea of the way you want to use him.
Right.
You have to see if he can handle it. Like you have to see at this level. LSU defense is one thing. The NFL defense is another. You just have to see. The Patrick Johnson kid, as we were told, has really interesting pass rush traits. Explosive, as a personnel source told us, actually during the draft, right after he was picked. Guy texted us, a guy that you actually know, Geoff. And he was pretty impressed with that player. In fact, this guy thought the Eagles really did well. There's opportunity here for 4th and 5th linebackers. There's a wonderful opportunity here for someone to, once again, every position here, Geoff, there's opportunity for somebody to stand out and make the team and help and actually dress and play.
Yeah, I mean, I think after Singleton and Wilson,
I mean, exactly.
Look, Davion Taylor's probably going to make it because he's a 3rd-round pick, and I don't know they want to admit anything after 1 year.
Sure.
So those are 3, and you'll probably keep 2 or 3 more. I think you can just kind of roll them all up and let competition decide. I mean, Sean Bradley was a 6th or a 7th round last year. 6, right? Jacoby Stevens is a 7. I'm sure they will be viewed as somewhat equally, though. One's from a newer draft. One has a year of experience. One may be more athletic than the other. Who knows? And then Patrick Johnson can get in there. I mean, I think it'll be a really cool competition there. And obviously, whoever really cuts their teeth on special teams and stands out there as well, will get a chance to prove themselves. But overall, same old song. It's just not a very appetizing group of linebackers. I mean, Eric Wilson was a good signing because he knows the defense. But let's be fair. I mean, he was a backup linebacker who became a starter after they had injuries. I mean, their starters were Kendricks and Anthony Barr. I mean, that's
I mean, Barr was out for the season, and they lost another guy. But it's funny how you say that. Once again, Eric Wilson's a smaller linebacker.
Yep.
6'1", and depending on what week it is, he's somewhere between 235 and 240. And look, I'll admit it, and Greg Cosell talked about this. Today's linebackers built differently. They're no longer 255, 260. They're somewhere between, sometimes they're 215 to 220. Just they're somewhere in the 230s now. Okay. But they're an injury away from Singleton and Wilson to being dire trouble. Dire.
Very much so. Very much so. I agree with that. Absolutely. All right, let's go into the secondary. Not a lot of surprises here. We know at cornerback, Darius Slay is back. Avonte Maddox is back and has to play the inside slot position. I mean, right now he probably doesn't, but the kid they drafted in the 4th round is going to get a shot. You mentioned that.
No, I understand he'll play on the outside, McPherson, but here's the problem. Okay, Craig James is a 5th corner. I know he knows the Minnesota defense because he was from there.
Yeah,
Jaquette is a major project. He's a 5th corner, 4th corner at best. Kayvon Seymour's a 4th or 5th corner, does have playing experience. Okay, he's back. Houston never played. He'll never play. Shaquille Taylor knows the defense because he was with Gannon and the Colts.
Right.
They're all 4th or 5th corners.
I'm sorry. Did you forget Lavert Hill intentionally, or
did I said that? No,
I didn't hear. Oh, you must have said it so fast I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah.
Can't forget Lavert Hill.
Yeah. Yes. But here again, they're like the Phillies pitching staff. They're a bunch of 6 or 7 pitchers.
It's like Vince Velasquez and
who pitched Nick Pivetta. The other night. What was that about?
I don't know. Well, Nick Pivetta is 4-0. Yeah, Cole Irvin has an ERA of 3.01.
Who's that?
Cole Irvin. Remember Cole Irvin? Who couldn't get anybody out. He's in Oakland right now, and he's doing pretty good. So
figures.
Yeah. So I don't know if I would say that if Craig James went and started somewhere else, he'd be.
You know what? He had, but apparently a phenomenal training camp for what it was for 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, he did.
But again, he's a 4th or 5th corner, folks. Right. This is. I understand they didn't have money in free agency to spend. Okay, but my goodness gracious, this is what they're going to. And I know their retort would be, folks, it's May, not June, not August. That's true. But man, please get a veteran or 2 corner. They missed out on Carey because they didn't want to spend the money. He only got $2 million.
Right.
They weren't in on what's the kid who signed with the Raiders earlier this week?
I know.
Former Charger. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Casey Hayward.
Casey Hayward. Right.
Right.
So I guess I'm a little surprised they weren't. Well, I don't know how much money he made with the Raiders, but the Eagles don't have.
They just don't have it. I mean, it's just I've never seen the Eagles cap strap like this. This is so rare.
Right.
Even in May. But look, opportunity, folks. Someone is going to be their fourth or fifth corner out of this group. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah. By the way, Q&A had a little fun with the fact that McPherson, they like him. They actually like him, his skill set. They watched him on tape, but you know, they couldn't help but notice, as many people do, that Texas Tech gave up about 70 points a game last year. I mean, do they even play defense in the Big 12? So so it's a question, but obviously he's in a new scheme. And look, the interesting thing about McPherson, and it's not helpful now, but that he does have positional versatility. He could be a guy that, once you're better at corner, can start on the outside, then move into the slot. If you have a guy who's just more suited to the outside, if Maddox is no longer with the team in a year or two, he has that kind of positional versatility, and they like that it is his aggressiveness. So just got to get coached up. That's the big thing. And it's hard to coach guys up this offseason and have them ready for the season opener. So
yeah, and apparently they all, like I said on our last show, like when at the time Max was drafted in 2018, everybody so I guess sometimes guys, scouts or front office likes a player. Apparently, like, this is a unanimous scouting staff, front office. Everybody wanted this kid, Denard Wilson, who's the new DB's coach. So that's good. Now, but again, Denard will have to coach him and develop him. And the thing is, though he's a fourth-round pick, a lot is expected. It's rare to say that. Fourth-round picks are not expected to start year one or play a lot. Well, guess what? He is.
Yeah, well,
they don't have anybody else.
Right now, he's going to get a good shot. Yeah. All right, let's get into safeties. Before we do that, Adam, the hits literally keep on coming from one boxing event to the next. They grow in excitement, anticipation. This weekend's no different, with two of the sport's most respected fighters stepping into the ring Saturday night. There's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. And for this weekend's fight, DraftKings is offering all new users a shot at turning $1 into $55. To celebrate this weekend's huge event, DraftKings Sportsbook is offering new users the opportunity to get 55-1 odds on either main fighter to win this weekend's fight. That's betting $1, and if the fighter of your choice wins, you cash $55. Plus, with basketball and hockey playoffs right around the corner, DraftKings Sportsbook has even more ways for you to make it rain. DraftKings Sportsbook is safe, secure, and reliable, meaning you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code ITB when you sign up. For a limited time, all new users can bet $1 to win $55 on this weekend's main event. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is going all out for new users by offering them the chance to win $55 when placing a bet of $1 on this weekend's big fight. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, the safety position, Adam. There's some talent here. You got Rodney McLeod. Yeah, talent and opportunity. Rodney McLeod, we'll have to see how he comes back from the ACL injury.
Yep.
They obviously make the signing of another former Viking, Anthony Harris. This is like the Vikings East right now.
I'm telling you. Let me see. So we've got Wilson.
Right.
We've got
Harris.
Okay. Hang on. Let's call it Colts/Vikings.
Okay. Colts/Vikings East.
Right. So you got Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Shaquille Taylor,
right? Anthony Harris.
You've
Craig
got
James.
Craig James and Marcus Epps.
I thought there was one more. No, that's it for now. That's it for now.
Bocce played for the Saints. Bocce ball.
Bocce was the Saint. Bocce ball.
Yeah, I don't think so that I could see. Wilson's 1.
Yeah.
James is 2. Taylor's 3.
Yeah, Harris is 5.
5.
It's
yep.
5.
Hey, look, and plus the linebackers coach.
Yeah, there you go. That's maybe Nick Rallis, right? All right, so Kevon Wallace, this is a big year. I mean, year 2 is supposed to be making a big jump, and I imagine he'll get some early opportunity with Rodney kind of coming back. They'll probably be easy with him.
Good point.
In training camp.
Right. Absolutely.
Kevon Wallace will get a shot. It wasn't a great first year for him, but as you said, 4th round pick. Sometimes you got a learning curve.
We were told right when he was drafted, do not expect very much from him. It just was going to be the way he was going to be cross trained in terms of where he's going to line up here or there.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be a learning experience here for him, and it's exactly what happened. And now, as you said, maybe year 2, because quite frankly, right now, there's a wonderful opportunity here, as you said, to fill in, get some snaps with the ones. And also, if Rodney's ready for the start of the regular season, to be their 3rd safety. And then you're one play away from being a starter. So, and Andrew Adams is more of a 4th safety. He's a journeyman, special teamer. Epps and Elijah Riley and Graylin Arnold, depending where they want to play Arnold, corner or safety.
Right.
But man, again, this show should be called Post-Draft Review Defense / Opportunity Waits.
Yeah, it will knock for many people. The question is, are these guys talented enough to walk through that door? I'll tell you one guy that we should watch for, but only because last year he had a good camp and earned himself some playing time, but he got hurt, and that really set him back, and that was Marcus Epps. He was a guy that had a good camp, endeared himself to the coaching staff, was the 3rd safety, I think, at the start of the year, and then he got hurt. He was out for didn't he have the concussion? No, not the concussion. He was on the COVID list. That's what it was, right?
That sounds right.
And he was on the COVID list for quite a while, if I'm not mistaken.
He was the only one. In fact, Mailata was on it for 2 weeks, which that set him back because it took him a while to get right, just to get his timing back and everything.
Yeah, wasn't there 3 guys in trade? It was Mailata, Lane Johnson, and
Epps.
And Epps. Was it Epps?
Correct.
I thought Epps was later. I thought Gary was on the
Well, no, I'm just talking about the guys who had it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They actually one of the teams that were very lucky. They didn't have a lot of cases.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. They just had every other injury under the sun.
Yeah. It's like the Niners had the worst. The Niners had the false positives, injuries, and then real cases of COVID, man. They got hit last year.
Right. So if McLeod's healthy and Harris is healthy, this is, to me, it's kind of a dependable set of safeties. I wouldn't call it a explosive playmaking set of safety. It's not your modern safety. It's not what they have in Minnesota where you have where you have Harrison Smith, who was, good at everything. And at one point it was him and Sendejo would knock your head off, and Harrison Smith could cover you or blitz, but it's a dependable, you just hope that this group doesn't get beat over the top a whole lot, and they shouldn't. But I don't know. There should be pretty good at tackles. We know that Anthony Harris was, I think, the leading tackler for the Vikings last year.
And that was because of their defense was just under siege.
Right.
They had so many injuries. There were a couple weeks. Had they not had injuries, they would have 5. They were 5 or 6 deep at corner. They were sometimes 1 deep at corner. They lost so many corners. It was just bizarre. Yeah. That's why their defense gave up so many big plays in the secondary. But Harris is this is another thing. McLeod over 30 ACL reconstruction. Harris 30 years old.
Right.
You'd like to know at the end of training camp, could Wallace be that featured safety, a starter? Yeah. You'd like to kind of get an idea.
Definitely. All right, we already know. One thing we don't have to get an idea of, because we know how good they are, is phlsportsnation.com with all of their coverage and their content, enhancing the fans' experience. You got to check them out. They're for the fan, by the fan. That's their motto. Check out their work. It's really worth your time. phlsportsnation.com is the website. On Twitter, @PHLSportsNation. And also, got to take a moment to thank our friends at Sky Motor Cars and hear from our other great sponsors. All right, and if you do go head into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them that Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal, and especially if you're looking to trade in a used car, you'll get more money than anybody else will give.
Oh yeah, they are running Brett Scholder, the owner, and their group. They're running. I saw their promo on Twitter and on IG. You should follow them on IG. Their core. In fact, I'm going to go over there soon. Check out some of the new cars. They're rolling, man. This is their time of year. And I have to tell you, as I've said this before, one of the easiest car dealing experiences. We had several transactions with them, particularly when I didn't know them. So I did all this research. Mm-hmm. I'm a big research guy, and I read reviews online just to see what people are saying, and it was overwhelming. Like, am I a big deal rater? Let's say they had 500 reviews, like 495 for 5-star. I'm like, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm like, okay, I got to go here.
Yeah, almost as good as the Inside the Birds reviews.
Well, I'm sorry.
I said almost as good as the Inside the Birds
reviews
on Apple.
Right. But no, but you like when you buy a car, that's a big experience. You want to make sure you're being treated with respect, and there's no pressure.
Right.
They just do a great job, and kudos to Brett. We appreciate them, Brett showing up with his kids. The kickers, he's got 2 kids who are kickers.
Definitely.
To our event last week at Evil Genius. We appreciate their support.
All right, before we get out of here, just a few notes on the front office, Adam, because there was a report that Ian Cunningham is going to interview in Carolina.
Definitely true. Yep.
Yeah, I can confirm it as well. And look, I mean, Carolina hired Patrick Stewart from the Eagles front office last year. He was a national scout. He's did Fitterer hire him? I guess Scott Fitterer is the GM. No. He was hired before Scott Fitterer.
Yes, he was.
Right?
Marty Herney hired him. Yes,
that's right, Marty Herney. But
well, actually, technically, he and Matt Rule are best friends.
Oh, okay.
Pat Stewart. So they went back to maybe Coastal Carolina, some job that they had together. They were very close.
Right.
This is what guys do. I get it.
Sure.
They hire their friends because if they've known them for 20 years, you want to get a chance to work together. It's like the highlight of their life. I get it. And Patrick Stewart's interesting. He was only with the Eagles for 2 years, and he was only a national scout. And to move from national scout to personnel director is a big jump.
Yeah.
And
you gotta trust somebody. Like you have to know somebody to make that kind of move.
What's interesting? I do want to mention this because Roseman is really good on Angel Cataldi's show. I don't know if you caught this part. This is this is another inside football thing which you would never hear before. I'm surprised Roseman said this, but this is a great nugget he gave. Only I catch stuff like this. I don't know why this stuff matters to me, but I learned something. I'd heard this before, but from other people, I never heard a GM talk about it on the record. So he's talking about the deal that he did with Carolina to get that a 5th rounder next year. Yes. They gave up.
Yeah.
He said to the guy's name is Scott Fitterer. He said, "Hey Scott, what side of the ball are you drafting? Why are you trading?" He wanted to know what position, what side of the football they were drafting. Well, this goes on with 1st-round picks because let's say you're trading up, the GM that has to pick will say to you, "Hey, we want to know before we make this, what side of the football are you drafting? Because if they think it's going to be their player, they're not going to do the trade with them."
Right.
So I thought that was a great nugget that Roseman gave. And I was very surprised that he did that, but I guess who cares? It's a 5th-round pick, but I thought it was fascinating. It just tells you that it does matter. These teams have to get intel. They want to make sure that you're not taking our player. I get it.
No doubt about it. Yeah. So anyway, back to Cunningham. We'll see what happens. Obviously, he's the assistant director of player personnel for the Eagles. So that's a pretty prominent position, and we'll see if he winds up joining Patrick Stewart. He's also from the Baltimore chain. Ian Cunningham. They brought him in Joe Douglas brought him in just like he did with Andy Weidel. So he's probably highly regarded for having that kind of pedigree. The Eagles talk a lot about some of their front office. Jeffrey Lurie talks about some of the women they have in the front office. Amina Solomon is someone who's a player personnel coordinator. Catherine Raich, football operations player personnel coordinator. So they always have people who are ready to kind of elevate into certain positions if they lose people, and they think that they have future GMs. You've heard Jeffrey say
Connor Barwin,
exactly.
He actually he re-upped his contract. I heard very well respected. He's a special assistant to the general manager, but he does a really good job. From what I understand, he wants to do more pro than the college scouting, but that's a good find for Roseman to find an ex-player because they have value because they see the game differently since they just retired than maybe a front office guy who either didn't play in the league or did, but he maybe played 20 years ago or something. So that's got some value.
What about Tom Donahoe? Obviously, he was there was obviously the big conundrum with what was on video. He's 73, and I think if something were to happen, everybody would kind of say, if he were to retire, right? Everybody would say, "Oh, he and Howie," obviously, and point it back to that. But he is 73 years old, and I had already sensed that he was maybe thinking about it, or I was wondering how long he was going to be with the team anyway. I think
he's beloved by everybody. I think there was a knee-jerk reaction with some people that something might happen, but my latest information Thursday morning would say it's up to Tom whenever he wants to retire. He's just been this is probably one of these consultants. Well, this is an in-house consultant basically. He's super imperative to a voice of reason and wisdom. And it's I don't know how he knew him,
Right.
Roseman. I don't know how he knew him, but that was the guy's an ex-general manager and a Super Bowl winning GM. It didn't work out well for Tom in Buffalo, but sure did with Pittsburgh. So this is a great hire.
Yeah, and he's been with the team for a while. He's been Howie's, senior advisor for a long time. I was told Jeffrey is very fond of him, just as Howie was. So I think this incident may make it look like typical Eagles. I don't know if it's the same thing, but I did hear that he was upset about what happened because it's never been about him. He's never wanted to make it about him. Sure. That makes it look like it's about him, and that's not clearly what the vibe he was trying to give off. So I think he's a little bit embarrassed about that. And,
Chris Mortensen has a great tweet. I guess he's talked to Tom and he put it out there. So make sure you see it. That explains just like what you talked about.
Yeah, I mean it's the last thing he wanted to happen. So. All right, that's going to do it. We will get back and back at it. I guess our next podcast will come out
Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Oh, and we got an ITV TV. We don't want to give it away, but we got a really cool one coming. We haven't talked to this person before. This guy is going to be great. So
yeah, we're going to get back to having some pretty good guests on to talk about this offseason, this coaching staff, this draft class. So I like it. We'll keep it secret who we're going to have on next, and it'll be a really, really good one, and we'll leave it at that. So that'll do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Go to YouTube, check out his channel, Sports Talk with Broads. I promise you'll be entertained. Find him on Twitter @Broads81 and @Broads Media as well. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.